What up, YouTube? Give me a second. Well, I'm doing this segment. It's called My Philosophy. I start all these segments and I never really continue on with them or finish them up. Hopefully this year is different. I've been inspired. When I went to Poland, I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of thinking about a lot of things, a lot of thinking about hip hop in general, what I want to accomplish this year, and what I want to do overall. And a large part of that is my musical and financial independence from all my talents and abilities. And not to mention that my brother says he got a famous saying from somebody, and he threw it in my face that kind of got just been egging at me, And he said, if you don't have goals, you'll end up working for somebody with goals. So I'm like, okay, that struck a strong chord in me. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about hip hop. I really started thinking about it, and I was thinking about all the stuff I don't like and the music that I'm like, this is no. And then I think about, man, they call that real hip hop. That's not hip hop. Blah blah blah. Yeah. And I'm bringing this up for a reason because I'm super notorious for about the music of today and the mumble rap and all these other things and to a certain extent I know that my biasness has caused me not to listen to a certain level of music or a certain amount of music which may actually be good. Then and I always fall back on that it's not real hip hop. And this video right here, this discussion might make a few people a little upset, may have some opinions where they're like, Dave, I don't believe that shit, I don't see where you come from. But all I'm going to say is, before I start on this, I just wanted to ask you to have an open mind and hear where I'm coming from. Alright? And I'm not going to be a long, drawn-out history lesson, but I really just want to bring some things to the forefront. Like, for instance, our culture was built on a lack of resources, opportunities, and that's it. A lack of resources, and a lack of it came out of lack. Just say that, because think about it. When hip hop started, and you know, and I'm not talking about the very beginning, because people was always rhyming, and rapping was just talking freely. So people would say rhyming words and things of that nature. And actually, Netflix has a good series on there about the beginning of hip hop and stuff. So you should watch that. I forgot the name of the thing. If I can think of it before I post this, it'll be here. If it's not there, then I'm sorry. But anyway, we didn't have instruments because, and I say we as I'm talking about the culture in a whole, even though I'm not from New York. But when we think about it, it was not a lot of resources. It was not a lot of things that brothers could do to be music creators. It took special people with talent and knew how to play instruments and stuff like that. And the songs that we listened to and people who had time to go in the studios and make these things. And when we wanted to jam, we party in the park. So Kool Herc had his sound system, took it out in the park, and that's how it got started. And then you had the MC that came around and started rhyming, and pretty much, just to break it down, we got down to 2 turntables and a microphone, and then 2 turntables and a microphone evolved into MPCs and SP1200s and all these things. And the whole thing was we wanted to make music, but because we weren't musicians, we didn't have guitars, drums, and all those access to all those things, we used what we had to make what we want. It's kind of a spin on a song lyric, huh? We gotta use what we got to get what we want. You know? But that's what they did. And that's what our culture did. We used what we had to make what we want. Not so much to get what we want, but to make what we want. They used what they had to make what they wanted. They wanted to make music, so they took what they had available to them to make music. And if you disagree with me, if you don't think that's real hip hop, I don't think it get more real than that. So think about it. You take the very bare minimum of what you got, and if you got a sample record, you got to do this, you got to manipulate things. You wanted to be a part of this music thing. You use what you had to make the best music you could based off of your resources. It gets no realer than that. All right? So that's real hip hop to me. I mean, and just because you play an instrument don't mean you're not real hip hop. Just because that doesn't mean it's not real hip hop. Real hip hop is music that comes from here. And you won't stop me attitude. I'm gonna make this music. That's what built the culture. And you talk about the break dancing, the graffiti art, and all that other stuff. All those elements compiled and made it to what we had today. Those were the other elements. But the hip hop music that we embrace, and the hip hop music culture that we embrace came from lack, came from very minimal. Didn't come from a lot. Didn't come from a large and big money studios, until later. So now, getting to now, I realize I can't say, although I don't like the mumble rap, although a lot of the other stuff I don't like, and you got cats in there making their original compositions and doing things like that, and trap and all these other type of music, ratchet and all these things. And I look at it, I'm like, you know what? It's just that hip hop is cool. The hip hop has grown to the point that we got all these. I'm not a big fan of subgenres and subgenres, but that's what it's come to. And although I don't like these things, and I'm not a big fan of that type of music, matter of fact, I wasn't a big fan of the Master P sound when it first came out. So this just shows how I'm just East Coast to the bone. But when I break it down, I start trying to I listen to certain things. They don't. There's no lyrical content. The melodies and some of the music is not like I ain't feeling it. But because I don't feel it means it's not real hip hop. And when I listen to the youngins argue or defend their shit, I can't blame them. You got defend yours because that's theirs. I just say that it's not for me because hip hop is older now. So now that although it's new to the culture. I mean, not to the culture, but it's new to it's the baby of the music world, genre wise. It has some age to it now because I've been around since its conception, so it has some age now. So therefore, we're growing up with this hip hop thing, just like we grew up with video games. That's why you got video games with adult content stickers on it now. So I get it. So I'm here to say that your Lil Yachty's and all these other people and all these people, I'm not going to say that they're not real hip hop. I can't say that. Now, I will say this. I will say this. When you do it just for the sake of a check and you just do it just for the sake of the money because you're just trying to make that paper, that's not moving the culture forward. That never has been moving the culture forward. And we actually that actually came about in hip hop records back in the day when it was called crossing over. And even EPMD did a song called The Crossover. So we can get into that. That's just something different. And when they boycotted the Grammys. So that was making a statement about keeping the purity into the culture. So that's not what I'm saying. So I don't know the young artists who are pure to what they do. But let me break down and tell you why I think what they're doing is real hip hop. Because they're taking the resources that they have to make what they want. A lot of these kids that are making the music now, and they like their music, and it's popular music, who are we to discredit it? Right? They took what they had to make what they wanted. They came up in the computer era. And a lot of them don't know of a time, or were not born in a time where there were no computers, where a lot of us were. I went from turntables to a Remix 16 to an MPC, and we got into these new technologies to make music. That was normal for us. So think about, and a lot of times, I had my Remix 16 because I couldn't afford an MPC. So what about that kid that can't afford, at that time, we wanted to get into music, couldn't afford the MPC? I totally get it, right? So he couldn't afford an MPC. So what did he do? He uses computer. And then he found a program called Fruity Loops. And Yeah, maybe he didn't buy it. Maybe he got a unlicensed copy. Reasons. Sony asked the studio, music maker, things of that nature, and started making music. I ain't mad. I mean, when I really start thinking about it now, can I be mad at them for doing what they do? And they start making their own music. That's real hip hop. That is real hip hop. They came from a source of lack, and I mean money or the ability to purchase whatever you wish to purchase at that time. And they used the resources that they had at their hand, which was at their disposal, which was their computer, and started making music. That's real hip hop. Because they didn't have too much else, so they left to their own resources. So when we talk about this music, we talk about the garbage and it's not this, it's not that. We just older now because our parents were saying the same thing to us, right? And I hate to beat a dead horse, but it is what it is. And when we talk like that, I think it's pretty brutal. I think it's brutal, and I'm gonna tell you why I think it's brutal. I think a large part of the music being the way it is our fault. I'm gonna say that again. I think a large part of the music being the way it is our fault. Because I was fortunate. The way I got into this music thing, I started off as a DJ. I was always fascinated with music and records, and it was always records in the household. And I always went through looking at album covers and record collections and my cousin, and he'd yell at me for going in his room and all this stuff. But I was always into the music. But I did have a mentor to teach me how to DJ, who was there and helped me and guided me on my whole DJ game. And then I had to got into the beat making, and then I had to figure that out on my own. But it was okay because I was determined to figure it out and make this music. And once I started writing rhymes and thought I was pretty okay at it, I wanted to make music. And I never turned back since. I never turned away from it. I just never left. It's just been in me ever since that time. So, what do I mean this is our fault? Man, a lot of great music came out in the late 80s and the 90s. I mean, we call the 90s our golden era. Man, a lot of good music was being made, but something else that wasn't done. Wasn't a whole lot of mentors. Wasn't a whole lot of producers taking younger producers under their wing, showing them how we get down. Not a lot of rappers taking other rappers, younger rappers, under their wing, teaching them the culture, showing how we got there. We tell them they got to respect the culture, but how many of us really took the time to really sit down or spend some time with somebody that's into this music and share the knowledge with them, share the evolution and how. Now, a lot of them just loved it so much they got into it, like your Kendrick Lamar's and your J. Cole's, that they got into it that they studied the history, and kudos to them. But in this microwave era, I can't blame, when we in this era of instant gratification, I can't blame a lot of them if they want to make music. It's like, I want to make music. They go to their resources. They go on YouTube, Google, how do I make beats? and go on YouTube, making beats, and they do it that way. The last thing they're thinking about, well, who made the first hip hop track and who did this? They're not thinking that way. They're thinking about what they want to do. Something inspired them to do something, so they just went for it. And they developed a sound that sounded good to them, just like we did. So, and I heard some people say, well, hip hop has evolved. And I'm like, there's no lyrics. The music is not really to my standards. How can we say it evolved? And then I look back and I'm like, yeah, he's right. It has evolved. Evolved means it's just standing the test of time, which means it's just like and please don't take this negative, but it's just like a virus. The cold virus. That's why it's so difficult. No, there's no cure for the cold because the virus will adapt, right? And adapt and get used to the medicine that you get to it. It forms an immune system to that. So now it forms a different strand, and that's all hip hop did. So we got different strands of hip hop now. We got all these subgenres and stuff like of hip hop now. And that's what it is. It's not that it's not real, because it is real. Because if they doing it and it's coming from here, it's real. Now, if it's coming from here and they embrace it, and they love it, and they defending it, and those who defend it to the strength, I'm gonna first say I apologize if I offended any of you guys making y'all music, because back in the day, that's all I wanted to do was make my music. And for somebody to tell me what I spent hours creating that made me happy was bullshit, they were entitled to their opinion. But I wasn't. I would stand up and defend my shit, which we all should do. And they should defend theirs. Just because I don't understand mumble rap, just because I don't understand some of the music styles and subgenres, why they do or how they do what they do, and even though it may not all resonate with me, I can't say it's not real. The only time it stopped being real is if I start trying to make it or try to be something I'm not, making that stuff. That's not me. I think a lot of us are afraid to be true to ourselves. I will say this. My problem that I think I'm legitimate, I have a legitimate argument in saying is that a lot of the music today, and because of the way it's done today, the only thing I don't agree with is that it's okay to copy. Meaning that you don't have a lot of original artists anymore. And what I mean by that is you have a lot of them. This works, is making money, they do it. And that's nothing new. That happened back in the day with soul music and hip hop as well. People would emulate. But the thing I liked about hip hop was you'd get called out on it and you'd get a beat down if you bit somebody's style, took their flow or anything like that. There was consequences. And DJs protected their craft because they took they washed the labels off the record so nobody know what breaks they was using, because that's a part of who they are. So same thing with the sampling, but a lot of times I think we may have took it too far, where a lot of the good producers and a lot of good people didn't do enough mentoring. You know, peace and blessings to Jam Master Jay who mentored 50, Dre with Eminem, you know, and there's a few more out there. But I don't think us on our level in our hometowns and genres and trying to build our city up, I don't think we did enough of building our army, building our younger cats, taking people under our wings, say, yo, this side's done. We may have did it with our peers, but we didn't do it with our little brothers. Yo, get out of here, I'm making beats, son. We didn't do it with the little man. You know what I'm saying? We didn't do it with our kids that are coming up that are interested in this thing. We didn't take the time to be mentors and show them this music, so we got what we have. And who's to say that what we have right now is bad just because we don't like it? So it all comes from the root. It all comes from that tree. The fruit may have evolved. Some of the seeds may have got mangled together to make a new fruit, but it's still hip hop. I've come to accept that, and I'm saying this because I think I want to learn a new appreciation for other styles of music and other hip hop styles of music, just like I do with rock and roll, classical, and all those other genres, and folk music and big band music, because I'm listening to these things because I always find something out of all those genres that is dope, and I end up using it to make my beats with. So I'm trying to find a way to be comfortable with the music, and if I just don't like it, I just don't like it. But I'm not going to say that they're not real hip hop. Now, the younger crowd knows what they did when they started making their thing. All I'm going to say is, when you do your thing, I know my real music. I know what it took. And I know real brothers is making it. I know guys is just in it just to just whatever, make money. And granted, we all got to eat. But when you're just doing it for the sole purpose of money and there's no love in it whatsoever, it's just a business, then it's not real. It's just not real. It's just a job. It's just a hustle at that point in time. But if you put your blood, sweat, and tears, and you put your hours in, all right, to form your craft and to support your fan base and this, that, the other, who am I to tell them they ain't real? So that's my message for the day. Overlord out. I'll be back with some more beat making videos. And of course, I'll be running my mouth some more. So y'all gonna get a lot of me this year, from the beat making to the tutorials or whatever. I'm be a bigger presence on YouTube this year, and don't be surprised if a lot of it is talking. So you'll know. I'll find a way to distinguish the videos that are talking for those who don't want to listen to this shit. But those who are, and those who do, great. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. I truly appreciate it. Peace. Love you guys.